Welcome, my friend. Today I will talk about the latest data I will collect and some theory behind Stirling engine, what you could expect from Stirling engine. I have a calculation of these I will talk about, and the theory maximum output power you can get. But we begin with the plot. Here we see a plot of a pressure volume diagram of the real data I collect when I run 130 degrees Celsius on the top and 28 Celsius at the cooling water. And the goal of the project of the Stirling engine in general is to stretch out these two lines, so you have the area should be as large as possible. Actually, the area is the output power from your Stirling engine. And I would say that if you run a Stirling engine without breaking it, you may end up with a single line instead of a two line stretched out. In this pump you have I don't have the check valve at the lower end. When you have the lowest pressure, it's just bouncing at the charging pipe, and that's not an ideal pump. So if you want to build an ideal pump, you should have an under pressure check valve and an over pressure check valve, so you take care of both of these. You find some data in here, and I will add some more when I start to use the large Stirling engine. And we can look at the data here. This is the distance of the displacer I track, and this is the volume change in the red pipe you see at the end, open end of the charging pipe, and here is the pressure sensor. So in my script I have an threshold millimeter here. When this threshold then flip, then I change the color of these dots. So the blue dots, well, that's when the displacer is shorter in the top, below this threshold, and then when the dots are red, well, then the displacers hit the water level and follow downwards. So I could track that. And if we jump over to the maximum theory, you can get out from this. You find that in this calculation I show. Well, then if you want to figure out what, you cannot never ever get more output energy per cycle than this theory calculation, because this is based on then fully isothermal behavior and no dead space at all. So that's it. And what parameter we have here? Well, this is how many liter you have when the displacer is at the top. So all this volume is cool isothermal cooling air, and you can play around with different temperatures here. Let's say you have 100 Celsius at the top and That's also isothermal, and 0 Celsius at the bottom. Well, you get 577 joules output, and if your engine run at 1 hertz, well, then you have this in watt. So you have 577 watts output, and you may, if you double then you get 4 times more output power. That's because you have an exponential output power, of course. And you could see that if I increase this, well, then you lose more than if you have temperature like this, and that's because everything relates to the absolute 0 temperature, 0 Kelvin. So that's the basics, and this is just another way of calculation, and I made a table here for an discrete way of calculation of the hot part of the energy, but that was just for this visualization, the top part of the pressure volume diagram, in other words. So actually we could do something here for the lower part. Okay, then I have my good friend talked with me and said he maybe could help me with some 3D printer and 3D CAD, so maybe he do some nice work. And he said to me, well, Oleg, this spiral structure, couldn't you just put the propeller in a straight pipe? And I think he's on the good idea. And I figure out that actually large hydropower station actually is kind of this when it's below a certain level of, when it's below 10 meters water height and so on, then actually they do the turbine like this. Another idea I heard about in the comments was using Bell's turbine, and that seems to be nice because then it run even in whatever direction. I haven't know anything about that before, but it's a nice idea because the regardless of the flow in the pipe, the propeller, the turbine run in the same direction. But I want to have the generator to maybe work like a starting motor, or actively control something about the displacer. So we will see how this will work through. I will update when it comes to something new ideas. Hope you enjoyed to see some of these projects. Have a nice day.